So hi everyone. Today I'm going to show you how we can create a dynamic dashboard using Excel and advanced Excel features. These features which I'm going to explain today is going to be using features like pivot tables and pivot charts and also some filters as you can see on the screen. So let me explain what I'm going to show you quickly over here. See, I have some call center data, and as you can see, we have the customer ID over here to show us information about customer-wise charts. Then we have the duration over the call. So this is the duration when the sale is made. So for example, 114 seconds, right? So that is more than a minute. We have the purchase amount or the sales amount which is made over the call, and you can also see that there is a representative who's handling the call, and the date of the call, that is the transaction date of the call when the sale was made, right? So now I have got 4 pivots over here. So you can quickly see that I have a customer wise total sales pivot, and the process of how this is made is also given in notes here. And I also have representative wise total sales by total sales as a pivot. But you cannot see the charts over here, right? Because what I've done is I have created this pivot in the background, okay? And I can also filter this for, as you can see, I can filter this for top 10 to top 5 or any n number, right? And the moment I do this, you can see that my dashboard shows me customer wise, as you can see, the top 10 customers by sales. So you can do, of course, various data analysis reports using this dashboard, but I'm quickly going to show you, okay, how you can create this chart, okay, this chart which looks very refined, as you can see, and you can see this top representative by sales. And you can also see another chart which shows you a combo chart which has got 2 series, that is sales and calls by month. That is you can see one series here on the x-axis and the other one on the z-axis here. And we can see that this shows the distribution of sales and calls by month over years, right? So let me show you an example, okay, that, if I click on a particular customer, that is C005, as you can see, it will take a while, a few seconds, because there's some relay happening. So C006, or let's see. So what C006 shows you over here, okay, is that this pivot, okay, is representing the total amount of sales that this customer has given us. However, you can see that this chart shows you the breakup of this amount over the sales representative. And this particular chart is showing you the same breakup of 6,000 for this particular customer over the number of years and over the months. Okay, so actually, if you see that this amount, okay, all these amounts actually amount or sum to 6,000, and these are the number of calls made for this particular sales value, right? This chart shows a histogram, okay, because this is showing you for every call, that is, let's say now, as you can see here, 3 calls were made in the duration of 0 to 29 seconds, that is 30 seconds. 12 calls were made for 30 to 59 seconds, that is around till a minute. In 1.5 minutes, we had 17 calls, so on and so forth. So the maximum calls, or the call break, okay, here for this particular customer happened in this area. Okay, you can see 17, and of course in this area also, that is more than 120 to 149 seconds, that is 16 seconds. Now let me show you the process of how I can create this chart. And as you can see that these are the slicers, these are the filters, and you can have multiple selection across filters as well. Okay, so not only one customer, I can hold down the control and click many customers as well. Okay, and you'll see that all the 4 charts change. Okay, and this is how I would want to create a dashboard, a dynamic dashboard as I call it. Okay, very simple, yet very powerful, which will help us to give an entire overview of an analysis, the ones that you decide, obviously, because these are some KPIs that I wanted to show on this dashboard. And I wanted to show this based on these filters. So I can do filters based on customer, or based on representative, based on months and years. So you can see I have years. So for a particular year, for a particular year, and even for quarters, right? So this is a timeline slicer, as you can see. And I also have filters which I can set or clear them like this. Okay, I can clear them. And I can even get filters for, let's say, a particular duration, right? So let's say between 150 and 180, if I want to know how many calls were made, okay, I can do this as well, right? So now let's see how I can do this dashboard. Um, Before I actually do the dashboard, okay, just some important things that I would like to share is once you design or before you design a dashboard, you need to identify some areas. Okay, what is it that you're going to do on the dashboard? That is, identify the important KPIs or the key performance indicators that impact your business, based on what time periods you would want to have this report, okay, in what format. For example, what kind of objects you would like to use on the dashboard. Like, you want to show it in the form of a table or a chart or a pivot chart or a formula or a function, how you would want to organize, okay, or how would you want to represent this data, and how do you deliver this on the dashboard. Finally, what is the user input going to be? In my case here, you can see that the input is coming through the filters or the visual filters called as slicers. What are the calculations for each KPI? Let's say if you're going to put a formula or a function, we would not want to know, okay, what is the calculation that is, going to be, or from where is the data going to come? What is the data source? Whether it is from one Excel file or it is from multiple Excel files, right? What can be automated? Do you need any macros? Okay, do you need to refresh some things automatically? Like maybe, yes, you would want to filter or refresh the pivot table automatically. You would want n number of filters automatically, right? How will you get the data refreshed, okay, and what sort of techniques you're going to use for each type of KPI. Okay, so sorting, filtering, whether you're using pivot table, charts and spark lines, or conditional formatting with alerts and data bars. Okay, so let me start. I'm going to take this data quickly. So I'm going to take this data, okay, and just copy it. So Control A. If it doesn't, then as you can see, Control C, take it on to a new Excel file, blank workbook. So I have the data here. And I'm going to create, okay, as you can see that this object is already created for me. I have a table. So I'm just going to name this as tcall. Okay, so this is a table object because this is a dynamic table object in Excel, which gives us the ability of having a dynamic range, right? So let me quickly create the pivot table. So Alt N V, right? That's the shortcut to create the pivot table, and click on OK. I need it on a new sheet. And now I'm going to take the customer ID and the purchase amount, right? Immediately what I'm going to do is I'm going to format this column, okay, because I want to have some currency symbol. Okay. And yes, and let's write total sales. Okay. I also want the header to be linked. So I'm going to say customer wise total sales, right? Sorry. Oops. Total sales. Okay. Top N customers. Top N. Why top N? Because what I can do here is on this chart itself, I can go to top 10 and show the top 5 customers by sales, right? So click on OK. And now you can see this is not sorted, right? So I'm also going to sort to show the customers or the sales amount. So I can see C005, okay, is the customer who's given me the highest business right now, right? Okay, now let's quickly create a pivot chart out of this. So I go to the pivot table options, pivot chart. Okay, and I'm going to create a bar chart, right? Because this gives me a good appeal when I want to see the customers, okay, in the descending order of their sales amount, right? So let me clear some chart junk, because you can see usually when you look at a chart, there's a lot of junk around, and I wouldn't really want to see a lot of information on that chart. So I'm going to quickly remove this legend, remove the grid lines. You could also do it from here. You could also do it from here, add the data labels, connect the chart title, right? And I don't need the scale, right? Because I've already plotted it. But I don't need these buttons. But what I really need here is I need this value or this bar to go right on top. So I'm going to do a reverse axis. Okay, now usually people would say that, yeah, you can also format this again, or you can sort this again. But as you can see, I've already sorted this data here, right? So when I've sorted this data, okay, if I resort that again, this is again going to get shuffled. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to reverse this axis. Okay, so let's go here and categories in reverse order. You can see the chart already looks good. A couple of things that I still don't need on the chart is these buttons, because I'm going to use some visual filters like buttons to actually filter this area, right? So let me go ahead, okay, and clear these buttons. Now, how do I do that? I click on the chart, go into pivot chart, field buttons, hide all. Right? So I like this here. This looks pretty good. Maybe I would want to reduce some uh, some gap width here. So I would want to increase this gap or reduce it. So it, the bars look a little more fatter, and I just see some data on the chart, right? So this is typically, you would see this looks like a funnel chart, but a funnel chart is always centered. So it's kind of center aligned. This is, as you can see, this is left aligned. So I'm going to take this chart and create one more sheet here called as a dashboard sheet. Okay, so this is my data sheet, right? This is my pivot P1. Okay, and I'm going to take or create another sheet called as dashboard. So I'm not going to really show the pivot table on the dashboard, but I just want to take this chart and quickly I'm going to create the buttons as well. So how do I do that? I go into the pivot table analyze, okay, click on insert slicer, slicer on customer ID. Okay, so just take this quickly, put it here. Now you can see, yes, if you have too many customers, okay, this kind of an alignment would look, would take up a lot of space, right, on the dashboard. So I'm going to quickly go ahead and arrange this into 4 columns, okay, and make them look like buttons, arrays of buttons, right? Yes, this is what I need. So I take both of these, I cut it, I don't copy it, I cut it, and I put this on the dashboard. Yeah. I'm quickly going to do another chart for you like this, and I'm going to connect the two so I can show you, okay, how you get the appeal of the dashboard, okay, by just taking 2 charts together and, using the visual filter. So for now, if you see, if I click on C005, it shows me the data only for this C005. Hold down the control, press more options. You can see that, okay, it's just going to show you the data for that particular customer for which you have selected. Go back to the pivot. You can see the pivot is also filtered, right? And this is what we want. So we want to see that the pivot is connected to the data source, right? The pivot chart is linked to the pivot table, right? And the slicer, as you see, when you right click report connections, you will see that the slicer is also linked to the pivot table, right? But what happens when I create another pivot? Now, for example, if I want to go back to this data, Alt and V, right? Pivot table, another one. So this time I'm going to create pivot 2, okay, which is going to show me representative wise purchase amount. I'm going to do the same thing quickly. Okay, I'm going to say total sales, right? Again, format. So double click always on the header and format. Never select the data and format, okay? Because when you select the data and format, what if more data is going to come in tomorrow? You'll have to again reselect that column. So always click on the header and then format. Okay, so let's go to currency. Click on OK. All right, as you can see here, I'm not going to do any top filters here because as it is, I have only 4 representatives. So I'm not going to do any filters here, right? But yes, I need to sort. Okay, so I'm going to go back, do the sorting from highest to smallest. So I know that R01 is the representative who has given me the highest sales value, right? Now I'm going to go back to the pivot chart options, create a bar chart. Again, remove all the chart junk. So let's write here representative wise total sales. Okay, I'm going to quickly do this and then remove all the chart junk, right? So link it. All right, I'm just going to repeat these options. I don't need these things here. Right click, add data labels. Okay, remove these buttons here. So field buttons, hide all. Let's change some colors. So let's do a fill color here of, let's say, maroon. Let's reverse the order, categories in reverse order, right? And again, I'm going to create the slicer. Okay, so I'm going to insert the slicer. This time, representative ID. Now, what I really want to do is I want to change the look and feel of the slicer as well. So let's select some color which would go with this. Arrange the buttons. So this time I'm going to make 2 columns. And within a minute, I think I should be done with at least the essence of linking these 2 pivot tables, right? So I'm just going to change this color to match it with this slicer. Okay, so let's do that. Let's quickly get on to, yeah, so that looks good. Now let's take these 2 and let's cut and paste it over the dashboard. Yeah, so I have the same options here. Okay. One thing I would want to share about the dashboard is that the look and feel of the data and the look and feel of how the report is done, there should be some uniformity, right? So for example, over here, if this slicer is representing customer chart, then the colors should match. However, this one represents this representative. Okay, so I'm just making sure that the colors are uniform and they match. Now I want to do one thing here. You can see that this slicer is related to this chart and this slicer is related to this chart. For example, if I click on R01, you can see that R01, okay, it shows you the data for only R01, but this customer chart is not changing, right? However, if I click on customer C005, so you can see that these 2 pieces of visuals are not really matching. This shows me 17,000 and this shows me 28,000, right? But I want to link these 2. So how am I going to do that? Quickly, I'm going to link the slicer to the other pivot table. Okay, and I'm going to do this here as well. So I'm going to take this report connection, okay, and link it to the other pivot table. And now you can see that when I click on C005, okay, this 17,000 is for this customer C005 is nothing but it's showing me the breakup of 10,000, 2,000, 1,000, 1 and 1, which is nothing but 17,000 here. It adds up to the same amount. It means to say that R001 has given me a total amount of 10,000 over this customer, right? And R02 has made a sale of 2,000 over this customer, right? To give me a breakup or a total sales of 17,000. Let's try this for another customer. If I say C004, you will see that the values again add up, right? Correct? Okay, so of course I've not completed the dashboard and this this is going to take a while, but as you can see, this is a very simple and yet a very powerful feature to give a novice or a user who's not very used to functions and formulas, and he would not really want to get into creating very complicated dashboards. So this is actually the beginning to create dashboards with Excel. And of course we can create data and we can do data analysis using pivots because they have such rich features now, starting from Excel 2010. I hope that you liked this video till here and you were able to get a sense of how you could create a dashboard with Excel. Thank you very much. Bye.